Hi everyone, my name is Kaylee Dowell and I'm 18 years old and I'm heading off to Dartmouth College this year. I've been at All Saints for I think 9 years. I've participated in acolyting, EYC, Sunday school, and I've also volunteered with Loaves and Fishes and the Flower Guild.
I think my family started coming to All Saints when I was in first or second grade. And so we kept coming, and the youth program was awesome because I was just in early elementary school. So being able to do the Sunday school and godly play was a real draw for staying there because there was something for kids to do.
I am a fourth year at the University of Virginia this year in Charlottesville. My family actually started going to All Saints before I was even born. So I never really had a choice, but I was baptized there, confirmed there, and spent pretty much all 18 years leading up to me leaving for Charlottesville.
I really started out in like the youth programs with Sunday school and everything. I remember going to the Sunday service that they have during the service where they take all the little kids out. And I've also been a part of the acolyte ministry at All Saints. I worked with the window for a while while they were at All Saints. I also have been a part of the EYC program.
But I remember being able to interact with all the materials, which was really cool.
And I remember Miss Burson, who was my kindergarten teacher, and her love of glitter.
Kids in the service can go and they do stuff and then they bring them back for communion.
And I remember being so nervous. I hadn't been on many sleepovers before, and this was a sleepover with a bunch of people I didn't really know.
I saw the Bible Time Machine program, and I thought that was so cool, and I wanted to do that so much.
And the janitors hated it because all of the glitter got stuck in the rug.
I remember thinking that communion was halfway through the service. I don't even know how.
But then we went to Burger King, and I was like, this is my kind of thing.
I was like, oh, that's right now. Like, I get to go do that right now. And I thought that was so awesome.
We did math with glitter. We did like English with glitter.
And so like the first time that I was actually able to do the service without leaving, we got to communion, and I was like, wow, the service is really long.
I don't really know what this has to do with Jesus, but I'm having a really good time right now.
That experience really allowed for me to feel more solidified within the All Saints community.
Sunday school before the church service, which eventually led me to acolyting, which led me to the EYC program. So they're all of the youth programs at All Saints are like super connected. It's like a spider web of like connections and friendships that you make with everybody. And yeah,
I think that that's really what was showing me how God works in our church is through building that community and having those really close friends and, going to Burger King.
I really remember specifically Dianora. I just think the world of her. She worked at All Saints for so long and took care of me. She took care of my middle sister, Kyla, and she took care of my youngest sister, Caitlin.
My mind first immediately goes to PGG, Patricia. She has given me so much of her time and so much of her energy.
The person who really made the biggest difference in my life at All Saints was Lee Reed. Even before she became this huge head of Sunday school, she kind of took me under her wing, and I used to be really shy, but she kind of brought me out. I could be this strong, independent woman that she is at church and also just in life.
I feel like Patricia Boyce, who was our kind of EYC Sunday school leader,
and not just me, but I know that she gives this time and energy specifically to almost everybody who's part of the acolyte program and the youth programs at All Saints.
And also when I went through some pretty difficult things this past year, she would always text me to check up on me.
I remember that she really reached out to the upcoming fifth graders and made sure that they knew that they would be included.
And it wasn't necessarily a completely direct mentorship, but it was one of those mentor relationships where she really, really fostered me and took care of me.
And then also her favorite phrase, major in majors, not in minors.
And it just feels really good to have that solid foundation and sort of a family member who's not technically in my family, but it does feel like we're family members. So
like whenever I messed up, she'd be like, it's fine. It doesn't really matter that much. Nobody noticed.
She went to a lot of trouble to really listen to us about things we thought would be fun.
And she really tries to make it so that people feel included.
I think that she's really made a big impact on my life.
And she's just so cool. I would not have been able to make it through All Saints without her.
A time when I really felt God at All Saints was whenever Father Mike would sing Silent Night on Christmas Eve.
I really see God active whenever I'm like making connections and like making the community that I have at All Saints.
There can't be a big man in the sky. Like, what are you talking about?
When we would all sort of like hold our breath and listen to his guitar playing, and the acoustics were so great. And I don't know if this really makes sense, but you kind of feel that little God shiver. Like you know that he or she is there.
I was getting a God shiver as you were talking about it, because I agree. I think that's just, and I like had like literal goosebumps.
It's not about taking it literally, and it took me a lot of time to kind of get my own understanding of how I felt God was involved in my life.
And I was in a Bible study last night with a couple of friends that are still at UVA or recently graduated.
And so I was like, I don't know if I really want to even go to church anymore. And then I started making all these connections with people like Mary and Kaylee, and I just kept making more connections with like Brooke and Addie and Carly.
And we were studying Jeremiah 29, where the Bible talks about like you might have a plan, but God has another plan for you. Because
God doesn't have to be a man. God can just be an idea.
Those moments where I might have an idea of how something is going to unfold, but something else unfolds and it actually turns out even better than I ever could have thought. Those are like really huge God moments for me, because they go against every single intuition that I have.
So I really see God in the connections and the community that I've made at All Saints. It's really amazing to see everybody come together, and like for every Sunday, everybody just comes together and we all have fun. Like
this summer, we sold our house. It was my childhood home. My mom designed it. And we had a time frame that we were thinking.
And God is your friends looking out for you, or the congregation kneeling next to you, or listening to a really good sermon, and just feeling like a sense of peace.
And it didn't end up working out because of the coronavirus, and it actually let me spend the summer in the house. And if we'd sold it when we were originally thinking at the beginning of the year, I never would have had that opportunity. I never would have told you that my mom would have passed away, that I would be at UVA, that I would have had the opportunity to build a Habitat for Humanity home in her memory. By kind of embracing God's time frame and really thinking about Jeremiah 29 and really embracing that has shown me a lot of really beautiful God moments.
Yeah, so I think one of the most obvious ways All Saints has equipped me is learning how to like present myself in front of others and how to speak and perform in front of others.
I remember when we were coming up with like the scripts for the Godly Play like films and everything, we would like kind of make our own scripts, and yeah, they would help us, but we would like write them ourselves.
I think that specifically my involvement in the youth ministry and EYC at All Saints has taught me to go with the flow.
I felt like leading up to high school, my faith wasn't necessarily my own decision. It was something that I had to do. I had to go to chapel. I had to go to church because the rest of my family was going to church, but it wasn't something super active. But I think it was giving me, whether I knew it or not, a really, really strong foundation.
I can hold myself accountable for what I do, and I only have control over that. I don't really have control over other people's perceptions of me.
And then in like when we were planning EYC and everything, and we were planning our Sunday school schedule, they were like, okay, what do you guys want to talk what do you guys want to talk about? What do you guys want to do? And I think it's really important to be able to not only like have an idea of what you want out of something, but also how to achieve that and like how you are going to make this goal a reality.
That I had something like more than 10 Sunday school and EYC leaders when I really should have had maybe 5.
When I got to school in Charlottesville, I didn't really actively pursue a church. I didn't really try and find a church. My first year, I didn't try and find any sort of religious-based organization to be a part of consistently during my first year.
Participating in the production company too has taught me to be proud of what I can produce and to just hold on to that and think about those things that I can be proud of.
I really liked being able to contribute all of that to All Saints.
And at the time, it was so frustrating because from my viewpoint, like that was working and that was fun and I don't want to do anything different at all. And I was really upset. And for a little while, it kept me from being able to enjoy what we had instead.
When I looked for it second year and made that decision for myself that, yes, I want to find a church. Yes, I want to find some sort of religious organization to be a part of on grounds. I feel so much better about the decision now. Because I feel like it's been my own and I've actively sought it out. And I don't think that I would have been able to transition so easily into it without the foundation that I got from sermons and from EYC and from Sunday school and from acolyting and really understanding the service without All Saints. And I'm so appreciative for that.
And after all that, I just really became more flexible. I decided to not let myself just be grumpy all the time because things kept changing, because things are always going to change.
The foundations for those things are really all from All Saints because I've learned how to be independent, and I think the youth ministries have really taught me how to stand up for myself and figure out things on my own, but also ask for help when I need help.
Like coronavirus time, everything is changing and not at all how we thought it was going to be. And I think that because of my exposure to just things are going to change, and that's okay. And that's something that I really picked up from being involved with All Saints and the people who told me that it's okay to be positive even when things aren't going to be the same as they were before.
I just want to let the parish know that everything that they have done for my family and everything that I've seen you guys do for other families in our community and also just outside of our community, whether or not those families, believe in God or if they're Christian or Jewish or Muslim or Buddhist, something like that, every little tiny detail really, really makes a difference.
I think it's really important that the parish knows how much it means to the youth to feel like our program is being supported or even prioritized.
Thank you. I don't think I have or my family has ever really, truly, completely thanked you for everything that you did for us after my mom passed away, whether it was meals or just time or support or just being someone to talk to.
One of the things that I want All Saints to know, really the congregation and everybody, is how important they are to like all of the ministries at All Saints, but also like especially the youth ministry.
Whether that's monetary or just being there to ask how someone's day is going or give them a hug. And I think sometimes when you're so generous as our community is, it can feel like what you're doing is never enough.
Because it is so hard to be a kid and to be a teenager and to feel like nobody really wants you around and to feel like all these adults, real adults with big important jobs, think that we're important too is really meaningful. And to feel like we're not the last thought that they have when deciding what's going to get funds or even just attention and who are we really going to support.
We are so appreciative of it. It means so much to us, and my mom's ashes are in the columbarium underneath the altar, and I very much see All Saints as my church home.
I remember when EYC was like canceled, like legit canceled, and then we had to like bring it back. And I remember like all of the support from everybody for bringing it back and being able to like, and everybody like helping raise money, not only for like EYC, but also for the National Acolyte Festival.
But every tiny detail is really going to stick in those people's brains. And I know it's stuck in my brain. I remember all the people who have given me so much help and support, whether it was just introducing yourself to me or asking how I was. And I think maybe you don't remember those things, but I remember them because they were so generous and kind.
It means a lot to feel like the church has the youth programs back, any of the youth programs, whether that's Sunday school or EYC or acolyting. It's really nice to have something dedicated to just being youth and feeling like you're supported for that.
When I started fundraising for the Habitat for Humanity home, all of the monetary resources that were poured into it, all of the time that was poured into it, all of the volunteer hours that were poured into it, that home was so important for me in my grieving process as I was really coming to terms with what had just happened and unfolded in my life.
It's so difficult to have a ministry where not everybody sees what you're doing. I feel like a lot of the congregation, they don't really have kids that are in the youth ministries, and so they don't necessarily see how important it is to us.
And you guys continue to be generous and kind, and no matter what it is that you can contribute, whether it's your time or your money or your kindness, it will always add up to more than what you're giving.
And to know that All Saints and the people of All Saints supported me in that process through those ways. I can't thank you enough. I know my family can't thank you enough for that. And it's certainly something that I will carry with me forever.
But just having them there to like support us, like especially through everything, is so important, because I don't think we would be where we are today without the support of the congregation.
Because it'll multiply in you being kind towards me is going to make you feel good about yourself, and then you can go give that kindness to someone else, and I can give that kindness to someone else. And I think that all of the happiness and generosity that you guys have given to the community is really adding up and making our community so wonderful and such a great second home to me. And I think I can speak for a lot of other people that All Saints really is a second home.
I remember one of the mission trips, we were struggling to find housing in Rockport to be able to like actually sleep there overnight. And then somebody from the congregation was like, hey, you can use my like small little vacation home there. And it was like 4 of us to a room.
And it's because of you guys, even if it seems like sometimes we get caught up in administrative issues. I think the important thing to remember is just to continue to be kind towards other people, which you guys do every day.
Even though you may not see it, even though it may not really be a part of your experience at All Saints, it's so vital to our experience at All Saints.
These programs just cannot happen without any money. Like maybe you think that your individual contribution doesn't matter that much, but they absolutely all add up.
Yeah, I mean, I would just put it pretty simply. I would just say do it. Whether it's $10 or $25 or $50.
Some people don't really realize how hard we work as a group in some of the youth programs just to like exist. Like we have so many fundraisers all interspersed throughout the year just to be able to like do things that some churches have like the privilege to do.
I understand that it's scary to work so hard and make money and then give that money away and not exactly know what it's precisely going to. I think that can be really difficult and it's kind of scary.
And if enough people decide that maybe their individual contribution doesn't really matter, programs aren't going to be able to exist, because it all adds up when everybody thinks that maybe their little bit doesn't matter.
I think that the Bible teaches us that we don't have to be making huge $10,000, $25,000 gifts, but that every single dollar counts.
Some churches are big enough and they have a big enough youth community that everybody in the youth community can pay $20 and you're good.
It's easy to recognize when a family or one person is hurting, but it can be more difficult to recognize when a church community is hurting in terms of money, because it's just such a giant system and there are a lot of working parts.
And vice versa. When everybody decides that their little bit does matter, it opens up so many doors for so many opportunities for all sorts of different organizations and ministries through All Saints, because the fact of the matter is you need money to be able to do anything.
Those dollars just make a humongous difference in so many people's lives, whether you see it or not. So I would just say do it.
All of the donations that everybody has made throughout the years, like that has really made the youth program at All Saints, and we like legit would not be able to exist without the congregation.
When you're older, you're not going to be thinking about that $25 that you donated. You're going to be thinking about the people you helped. And those people, when they're really old, are going to remember your generosity and realize that they had a great community in their church. And that's just going to make them so much happier than $25 can buy, if that makes sense.
And it's so appreciated when we can feel like the congregation brought it upon themselves to share what they have with us so that we can have our ministries, because that just can't exist without their contributions.
And I think that that's just really important for people to know that like we work so hard to do things, and y'all's contribution and y'all's acknowledgement of our hard work is just so important, and we really appreciate it. So yeah.
It's because your money is going to actually helping families and people find that community, and you just can't put a monetary value on that.
Yeah, I just think it's really incredibly cool to think that All Saints has been around for so long.
Being a part of a church that's been here for 120 years, I can see it with my own two eyes, the like history behind this church.
Thinking about our church being around for 120 years just reminds me that there are 120 years of people behind us, and they're all supporting our church and they want to see us succeed.
I think that when you walk into the doors of All Saints, you can really feel that it's 120 years old.
That other people have gotten to acolyte, that other people have gotten to sit in the same pews, that other people have been baptized, that other people have kneeled at the altar, and so many people have done the same exact things that we get to do every single Sunday.
I can just like see the history in All Saints and how beautiful that is, and it like being forever changing is amazing to me. I feel like this community really adapts to everything.
And I think by investing in our church and putting money towards the future, you're adding yourself to the ranks of those 120 years of people.
We've got the beautiful architecture and the dark wood, and everything about it just feels like it's been there a long time, and there's a lot of tradition ingrained into the building and what happens in the building.
That tradition that we have is so amazing, and I hope that it can carry on, but I hope that we can build on it.
We like adapted when the Robert E. Lee window was removed. We adapted when we got a new interim rector. We've adapted so much, and I think that that's really true for all the 120 years, goodness, that we've been here.
And you're forever going to be solidified in the walls of our church, in the pews. Like Taylor was saying, you really feel it when you're sitting in those pews and you realize that so many people have sat there before you and felt the same way you have.
But I think when you look a little deeper, it's really awesome that the things we value and our morals as a church have grown along with the past 120 years.
A lot of that starts from investing in the youth programs. I know that I had a good experience with them.
I hope that they realize that like the community here at All Saints is worth so much, and I am so glad that I have been able to be a part of it. Just like being here at All Saints, I'm so glad that I stuck with the EYC program, the Sunday school program, the Acolyte program. There have been times when I've been like, I don't really want to do this anymore, but now I'm so glad that I stuck with it.
When you talk about community, I mean, there's the immediate community of people who are there right now, but there's 120 years of community, and they've been here and they're always going to be here because they've supported our church and they've made us who we are today.
It's just because we're physically 120 years old doesn't mean that we're treating people who are minorities or who aren't straight like it's 120 years ago. I think it's really amazing that we've been able to progress as a church, and our ideologies don't have to be the same as they were 120 years ago.
That we will be able to invest in further generations, and that we can have an incredibly strong next 125, next 225 years beyond that.
And I'm really hoping that the youth people at All Saints, they really understand that like this is a community that you can put your whole trust into, you can put all of yourself into, and they will be there for you 100% of the time.
And we found a really good balance between keeping traditions that are helpful and not making traditions of ideas that are harmful. And you can feel during a service that there's just this feeling of ancient and comfort from how long everything has been tried and true, but you don't have to feel frustrated that just because it's old, it's not progressive, because it is.